10 million years ago, the world was an endless emerald sea. Home was the high canopy. We were masters of the vertical world, safe from the shadows below. But the earth began to breathe a colder air. The rains slowed. The great rift opened, and the lush walls of our home began to crumble. The forest retreated, replaced by a golden, dangerous tide, the savannah. We stood at the edge of the trees, looking out into the tall grass. To see the predator, we had to do the impossible. We had to stand. Stripped of our climbing speed, we were exposed. Every shadow held a tooth. Hands, once used for branches, were now free to carry. To collect. To survive. The sun became our forge. We traded fur for sweat. Our bones reshaped. The spine curved. The journey had begun. We were no longer residents of the trees. We were masters of the path.
Out of the shrinking forest, a new form emerged. Not fully ape, not yet human. Our ancestor, Ardi, still moved with the echoes of tree dwelling. But a new impulse stirred. The need to see over the grass. A tentative push, a wobbly ascent. The first attempt at upright grace. This was not the confident stride of later humans. This was a precarious dance. Its foot, still grasping, was not yet designed for the ground. The knees bent, the posture hunched. A compromise between two worlds. The open plains offered new dangers, but also new rewards. Every step was a lesson. Every fall, a new lesson learned. To stand tall was to bear the full weight of the sky. This awkwardness was the seed of a revolution. The first spark of our destiny. The precarious balance between the safety of the heights and the promise of the horizon had begun.
Millions of years passed. The landscape hardened, and life grew tougher. From this harsh crucible stepped a creature both familiar and profoundly new. Her name would become legend, Lucy. A skeletal testament to a pivotal shift. The knee joint, once flexible for climbing, now locked. A commitment to the ground. Her pelvis, broad and basin-like, cradled organs for upright posture. This new architecture allowed for efficient, long-distance walking. On two legs, she could scan the horizon for opportunities. And for dangers. The savannah was a perilous place. Their steps, imprinted in ancient volcanic ash, echo through time. A small family, navigating a world filled with giants. Every upright step was an act of defiance, a statement of intent. Bipedalism was our first liberation, opening up a new horizon of possibility. Time marched on. The African landscape continued its slow, inexorable change. Our ancestors still scavenged, but often, the most nutritious parts of a carcass were locked away. A hand, now free from locomotion, began to fidget. To explore. Perhaps by accident, a stone struck another. A sharp flake broke free. A jagged edge. A revelation. This was more than just a rock. The Oldowan chopper. Our first true technology. Simple, yet revolutionary. With this new edge, marrow, a rich source of energy, was finally within reach. More energy for growing brains, for more complex thought. These tools weren't just for food. They reshaped the very perception of our world. Knowledge wasn't just instinct. It was learned. It was taught. The hand that once grasped branches, now grasped the reins of destiny. By shaping the stone began to shape the very future of humanity.
Nature's fire was once a terror. A roar from the sky that brought only destruction. But one ancestor didn't run. Homo erectus reached into the ashes. We didn't just find fire, we learned to feed it. To keep the sun alive through the night. The darkness was no longer a kingdom of predators. Fire was our first wall. Cooking changed everything. It pre-digested our food, releasing a flood of energy. Our jaws softened, our guts shrank. Our energy turned inward, toward the brain. The hearth became the first classroom. The first theater. The first home. With fire, we could conquer the cold. The north was finally open to us. Tending the flame required patience. Foresight. A plan for tomorrow. For the first time in history, the hunter became the master of the night. Fire was the catalyst. It accelerated our evolution from beast to builder. We were no longer just survivors. We were the masters of the most powerful force on Earth.
Africa was our cradle, but the world was our inheritance. The gate stood open. We didn't leave to conquer, we followed the herds. We followed the green. Every valley held a new secret. Every river, a new challenge. In the mountains of Georgia, we found our first resting place outside the motherland. The light changed. The sun sat lower in the sky. The shadows grew longer. Different plants. Different predators. We learned to read a new language of nature. A mile a year. A generation per valley. The slow crawl across the earth. Some followed the salt air, tracing the edges of the great ocean. Isolation was death. The tribe was our only map, our only shield. From the forests of Europe to the islands of Java, the human footprint expanded. We were becoming a global species before we even had a name for the world. We were the wayfarers. The species that refused to stay still.
While our feet conquered the earth, a silent explosion was happening within. The high-calorie gift of cooked meat and marrow fueled a greedy new organ. The brain grew, folding in on itself to fit more power into the same space. The forehead rose, making room for the prefrontal cortex, the seat of our future. Intelligence came at a price, a massive energy drain that never turned off. As the brain grew, the tools became more than just rocks. They became ideas. We began to see the world not just as it was, but as it could be. A bigger brain meant bigger groups, more people to track, more faces to remember. We became a species of the mind, driven by a metabolic fire that demanded more. The heavy brow of the beast gave way to the high temple of the thinker. The calorie was now the currency of survival. And the brain was the biggest spender. We stood on the brink of becoming something the universe had never seen. Out of the dust of the pioneers rose a titan. Tall, powerful, and imposing. They claimed the rugged landscapes of Europe and Africa as their own. They were the first masters of the long-range kill. The wooden spear was their scepter. They didn't just chase prey, they cornered it. They understood the land. They hunted the giants of the Pleistocene, elephants and rhinos, through sheer grit. Their ears were tuned to our frequencies. The foundations of speech were being laid. One group stayed in the sun. The other moved into the deepening cold. In the pit of bones, we find the first hints of something sacred. A shared end. Their tools were symmetrical, beautiful, form following a mental blueprint. They're the ghosts in our mirrors, the common father of us and the Neanderthal. As the glaciers advanced, the Heidelberg man faded, leaving behind two distinct legacies. The world was about to get much colder and much more crowded.
In the north, the world turned white. Survival required a new kind of human. Stocky, powerful, and barrel-chested. Their bodies were engines designed to conserve heat. Large noses warmed the freezing air before it ever reached their lungs. They were dwellers of the limestone caves, turning cold stone into warm sanctuaries. Their tools were sophisticated. The Mousterian blade sharp, efficient, and lethal. They didn't just hunt, they engaged in a brutal, close-quarters dance with the megafauna. Their bones tell stories of broken limbs and healed wounds. A life of incredible grit. They cared for the weak. No one survived the ice alone. In the depths of Shanidar, they buried their dead. Perhaps with flowers. Perhaps with a soul. Red ochre on cave walls. The first whispers of symbolic thought. For 400,000 years, they were the undisputed kings of the European frost. But from the south, a new kind of shadow was approaching. One they wouldn't survive. Deep in the cradle of the African rift, a new form stirred. The dawn of the anatomically modern human. The heavy brow receded. The face flattened. The skull became a vessel for vast potential. A high, vaulted forehead. A testament to a massive, complex prefrontal cortex. And a chin. A uniquely human feature, signifying changes in our jaw and tongue. Our hands, now even more dexterous, capable of incredible precision. The larynx descended, creating the perfect resonating chamber for complex speech. The Homo kybish fossils. Our oldest mirror. The face that looks back is ours. Taller, leaner, built for endurance over brute strength. A marathon runner, not a sprinter. More than just survival, there was a glimmer of self-awareness. Of curiosity. While our cousins still fought the ice, we were making a different kind of leap. The main character. The age of man had begun. A new chapter in Earth's story. But this was just the beginning. Our final journey out of Africa lay ahead. To survive, we didn't just need to be fast. We needed to be smart. We needed to hunt the giants. We invented the projectile. A way to strike from a distance. To kill without being crushed. Communication was our greatest weapon. A look. A gesture. A shared plan. We learned to use the land itself. To drive the herd into a trap. We closed the circle. Every hunter knew their place. Every movement was synchronized. The air grows heavy. The beast senses the trap, but it's already too late. We struck not with brute force, but with precision and timing. One hunt could feed the tribe for weeks. A triumph of cooperation over chaos. With full bellies, we had time. Time to think. Time to create. Nothing was wasted. The bones of the giants became our needles, our harpoons, our art. We were no longer just another ape. We were the undisputed masters of the food chain. Our success was our fuel. Africa could no longer contain us.
In the deep shadows of the Altai Mountains, a secret lay buried for 50,000 years. It started with a fragment. A single finger bone of a young girl. A tiny witness to a lost world. She wasn't sapiens. She wasn't Neanderthal. She was someone else entirely. The Denisovans. Masters of the thin air and the high plateaus of the East. They gave us a gift. A gene for breathing where the air is thin. A legacy still alive today. In their cave, we found a bracelet of green chlorite. Polished. Drilled. Sophisticated. They didn't just exist alongside us. They became part of us. Meet Denny. The child of a Neanderthal mother and a Denisovan father. Proof of an era of blending. They vanished from the map, leaving only their code behind in the blood of billions. Their story is written in the wind that howls through the Altai passes. We are not a single line. We are a braided river of ancient ancestors. The Denisovans remind us, the map of our origins still has many blank spaces. In the Levant and the valleys of Europe, the paths of long-lost cousins finally crossed. From the tree-line, we watched. Not with fear, but with a strange, haunting recognition. Two fires burned in the same woods. Two different ways of seeing the stars. There was conflict, yes. There was also curiosity. A hand extended in the half-light. We didn't just share space, we shared lives. We became a braided river of DNA. The proof is in our blood. In the small percentage of the North that lives in every one of us. Techniques were traded. A new way to flake flint. A better way to tan a hide. In the laughter of a hybrid child, the boundaries of species began to dissolve. They gave us their strength. Their immune systems helped us survive the new diseases of the North. The Neanderthals didn't go extinct in a roar. They were absorbed. They faded into us. You are the living fossil. Your DNA is the museum of this ancient meeting. Soon, we would be the last ones standing. The only voice left to tell the story.
The world was once a crowded place, filled with different ways of being human. In the caves of Gibraltar, the last Neanderthals watched the sea, their fire slowly dying. It wasn't a war of blades, but a war of numbers. We simply outbred and outlasted. The climate shifted again. The resources they relied on vanished, and we adapted. The Denisovans in the east, the hobbits of Flores, one by one, the lights went out. We were the generalists. We could live anywhere, eat anything, and talk to anyone. The great caves fell silent. No more songs in the old tongues. No more stories in the ice. They didn't fully leave us. They left their ghosts in our marrow, their code in our blood. By 30,000 years ago, the conquest was complete. We were alone. We became the keepers of the memory of a dozen lost species. The stage was ours. A single species to rule a planet of 8 billion. The time of biology was done. The time of the mind had just begun. 7 million years of trial and error have culminated in this, the most versatile machine on Earth. Our spine, a double S-curve, acts as a shock absorber for a life on 2 feet. We traded fur for millions of sweat glands, becoming the only hunter that can outcool the sun. The Achilles tendon, a biological spring that allows us to run until the prey drops from exhaustion. Our hands. 27 bones. A precision grip that can thread a needle or shatter a stone. A descended larynx and a nimble tongue. We didn't just survive, we told the world we were here. At the top sits the brain, occupying 2% of our weight, but consuming 20% of our fire. We are not the strongest or the fastest. We are the ones who simply do not stop. Our hearts are built for the long haul, a rhythmic drumbeat that has echoed through the ages. Each bone is a library. Each muscle, a lesson in survival. We reached the peak of our biological evolution. A perfect balance of form and function. But for sapiens, the body was only the beginning. The next leap wouldn't be in our bones. We have reached the end of the long walk. Our bodies are finished. Our journey is not. We no longer wait for revolution to change us. We change the world to fit our needs. We left our mark on the stone. Not just a handprint, but a statement, I was here. We began to tell stories. To believe in things we couldn't see. To dream together. We looked at the stars and saw a calendar. We looked at the seasons and saw a plan. Biological evolution slowed to a crawl. Cultural evolution began to sprint. We are the first species to hold the power of an extinction event in our hands. We carry the Neanderthal strength, the Denisovan's resilience, and the sapiens' curiosity. Our next leap will be made of silicon and steel, but the heart remains the same. We are the keepers of a 7-million-year-old flame. It is our duty to keep it burning. The walk continues. To the stars. To the future. To whatever comes next. We are humanity. And this is only the beginning.